Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Brandon, and it is hot. It's ridiculous right now, and I'm just trying to make sure that the music starts. It's not doing the thing that I want it to do, because of course not. How have y'all been? I hope things are going okay with all of you. Why we have to be melting this week, who knows? Well, I could hazard a few guesses, honestly. Nope, I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's been a fun week. I'm thankful for the air conditioner machine that's blowing over there. That's getting some coolness to me. There's a fan hanging out up there. I may or may not be final destinationed on this very show. I'm going to tell you about some weird portents that I've been getting lately. Not joking. So this morning, I walk out, go through the yard, go through the driveway, and I find myself seeing Brandon, what are we doing? I find myself seeing just located on my lawn a little bit away is a crow feather. But it's not just lying on the grass. It is dropped in the grass, standing up, basically. Now, we've had our Corvid friends hanging around here for quite a while. They like to make fun of the cats. And Squee especially. And I'm thinking like, I don't know. I don't know about this, but I'm going to leave it. I come home, it's still there, just hanging out there. And there's like 2 crows hanging up real tall, looking down at me, just kind of going. So they're not being outright hostile to me, but I feel like they're keeping an eye on me, and I don't know why. I feel like I've been marked, and I feel like I'm being watched, and I'm not sure why. So if for whatever reason, halfway through this broadcast, the ceiling fan comes down and there's this spray of blood, I mean, it probably won't because it's not going too fast and that's not how that works. But on the off chance that that happens, it's because of the crows. They did this. Just want you to be aware. Yeah. So the crows are after me. Or benevolently keeping an eye on me. Maybe I'm marked for safety. I don't know. I don't actually know what they're saying about me. So that's fun. All right. We've got Stack. We're going to go through things fairly quick today because this far away from the air conditioning is Melty Town. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to melt all over these nice comics. That is a problem. I get all gushy. So we're going to start out with the relaunch of the X-Men, baby. This is the first in the From the Ashes season of X-Men. I do have a regular edition of this somewhere in this house. I cannot find it. I know I read it. So we've got many covers for this. We've got the blank cover. We've got the Scott Koblish connecting cover where all these characters connect with that of, so far, I believe, X-Men 35, the one that ended the Krakoa era. We've got the X-Men Psylocke cover. We've got the negative space magic variant cover. Your Peach Momoko. Your Scottrick Young. So This is the opening salvo. This is, as Andrew asks, the Jed McKay book with Ryan Stegman on art. This sort of sets down what I would say the main team, or at least one that is calling themselves a team, is up to, how they're going to operate, where they're going to operate, what they're operating in, and the like. It is a very base level, ground level. Here we go with some classic kind of X-Men storytelling. They are back to being hated and feared and whatnot. And this story really kind of puts the pieces together. It is very different from what you're getting in the Krakoa era, but that is by design. They are doing a more classic feel and a lot more kinetic action and energy. We do have a few of these on the stand. So if you would like to check out what's a new era of X-Men, I know there was, as much as the Krakoa era was beloved by a lot of people, I know a bunch of folks who were put off that this was not their X-Men. And now I can say that it is swinging back towards more of that classic feel for that X-Men. Carl, I can absolutely do that. And let me just make a little note of it here before I forget. Because I will absolutely forget. Notes. I should honestly be checking in with you on a lot of the blank variants, because I know that you like to nab a few every now and then. So, absolute DC thoughts. I would love to share a lot of them. I would love to share what I know about some of the stuff upcoming, but I won't this week. I'm going to tell you why. So, there's been a lot of talk about an absolute line of comics shepherded by, I'll say this much anyways, Scott Snyder in some way. A new line of comics at DC. There's been some rumors of. There's some information that has been leaked. I'm not going to talk about this because of the nature of the leak and the folks that it involve. And I also don't want to step on what DC has planned to announce with those. But what I do want to say is, if you're excited about what you've heard, be excited, because it's something worth being excited about. Yeah, and we'll talk about that very soon. All right, see you tomorrow, Carl. That would be awesome. We have a surprise comic. This was not solicited, not even slightly. In fact, a version of this showed up in shipments a week ago. One per store. And we were told, hey, if you want more of this issue to share with your customers, order it now. Order it now, and we will ship it as fast as we can. And so Diamond has, Penguin has gotten us our copies. They got us our copies today. So we are going to start selling them tomorrow. This is a surprise release of Moon Knight because of some spoilers that happened in Blood Hunt. This is going to be the new series of Moon Knight going forward. It is still by Jed McKay and current Moon Knight artist Alessandro Cappuccio. You know, it's kind of spoilery to even talk about it, really. But you can kind of guess why there might be a new Moon Knight, considering how the last Moon Knight series, or actually the Moon Knight series before the current one running, had Moon Knight die. He like exploded real bad. Brain. And the current series has been following Hunter's Moon in kind of a Moon Knight role, basically. Well, there's a reason why there's a Moon Knight number 0. for those asking, Lyndon, if you have been getting Moon Knight. It is already in your file. I definitely took care of my Moon Knight people, and ordered a little bit extra for folks who are just interested, because this should be a very interesting book and a very interesting way to merged. And I'm actually excited for stuff like that. I like being surprised. I like being able to get something into people's hands that might be a little bit like, oh, that's happening. Oh, wow, I didn't even hear about that. So that's pretty cool. But on the off chance that you're not down for Moon Knight, I've taken a note. Another featured book I want to talk about this week is Kill All Immortals by Zach Kaplan and Fico Ocio. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that name right. And this is absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed this book. I was a sucker for the cover. First off, you will always get me with a well-designed cover. This is, of course, a Tom Muller special, who does absolute phenomenal work. He was the original design engine behind the Krakoa X-Men line before they sort of let other people take over that. They stopped paying him, I think. And he's got such a great design sense, and seems to like to put his stamp on really amazing books. Another person who likes to put their stamp on really amazing books would be The Letterers by Hassan Otsmane Lahu, who is also a name of quality that I find if I open a book. And find that his name's on there, I'm on board. Yeah. I think everyone can read it though. Anyways, I really love this book. This is basically the short pitch. Is basically kind of a Succession meets The Old Guard or Game of Thrones style thing. There's a family. They're running things. Clearly involves sort of like more immortal take. The hook is at the end of this. I don't want to really spoil it, but you can kind of guess a little bit if you're thinking more Succession with gods. And absolutely incredible. If I've put this into my more Conan-y files just as sort of like a try. I think a lot of people will like that, and I've put this in some of my just kind of likes a fresh indie take thing. But yeah, and we're going to talk about some more single issues, but the last one I want a full feature of is The Sitter, done by local Adrian Kolaric, who did Dracovi earlier. This also takes place in Edmonton. This is more of a sci-fi-ish style thing with a little bit of a dark twist to it. It is extremely local. It is self-published, and we are selling copies at our store. We were asked about this if we would like to carry it a little while back, but we were in limbo. So I told him to hold off until nowish. And nowish has come. So we do have copies of this in store. We'll be asking our Ultra Covey customers if they would like a copy. So far, so good. And we're selling through pretty fast. This oversized book will run you $10 Canadian. But the card, the cover stock is absolutely wonderful. This feels substantial, and I'm very excited for folks to get to read this bizarre book. All right, we're going to go through a few other ones here very quickly, because Melting Task Force 7 is an absolute power tie-in. These are going to be single issues done by different creative teams. This is sort of like your a lot of these big events will have sort of trial balloon tie-ins where they will have some creative teams that have done really great work and see how they work on sort of an event level, what they can take on, how they adapt to that situation. And so we have this series here where the different sort of Amazo bots that have been built to wreck different types of heroes, sort of tweaked to hit different different strengths and whatnot. This one is by Leah Williams and Caitlin Yarsky, both who have done incredible work on some comics. And hey, nothing quite like a talking dinosaur. You gotta love it. All right, cool. And swords. Talking dinosaurs and swords. All right, Sean, getting that noted down. I realized I don't have to be making notes. I can just take a picture of the requests and then just make sure that I fill them later. We have the first issue of the 3-issue run that Gail Simone is doing on Action Comics. This also features a backup by Rainbow Rowell doing a Lois and Clark story. That happens to be two writers whose flavors work great together. Eddie Barrows does the art on the main story, and Cian Torme does the art on the backup. In the first one, you are getting your action in the Action Comics, and in your backup, you are getting more of the ground level Lois and Clark with some action. It's really a really nice pairing. And man, I love when Gail Simone gets to cut loose on some superhero stuff. It's been a while, and now she's actually just like really front and center, not only with these 3 issues of Action Comics coming up here, but she is the driving writing force behind the Uncanny X-Men main title coming up soon, which is featuring the X-Men not necessarily in a base, but sort of just operating out in America. We have the first issue of Kid Venom, a character introduced in some Edge of Venom-verse stuff. This is full-on manga style by writer-artist Tiagami. And when I say full-on manga style, outside of it reading left to right, this is very much I would say, just for ease, Venom meets Lone Wolf and Cub in the art style, not the story necessarily, but definitely more samurai based, and the art style of it. It's really cool looking. We also have Domain #1. Now, if you've been reading Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain, this is the comic that's actually being made inside that comic. So that's a fun bit of business that I really like. As you can see here, it's got how the comic would be, but scratched out with the actual creative teams, Chip Zdarsky, Rachel Stott, and etc. So if you've been getting Public Domain, this is in your file. If you haven't, this is still a fun superhero story. I would definitely recommend. Whoop, I need to stop bumping the camera. Oh boy, that was gonna end bad. All right, I would highly suggest that you read Public Domain. It is a great story, sort of about the pitfalls of creating comics for a big time creator, creating comics on your own, and just familial aspects of life, and just trying to do your best in the world, you know. I love Public Domain. I love helping people discover it, especially if they're sort of like they've been enjoying comics and kind of want to dig deeper into maybe some sort of creation aspects, but with a little bit of warning about how things might go. but with Chip Zdarsky's charm and dark humor and just humor in general. I just really love both Public Domain, and this was a lot of fun too. We have Death in the Family, Robin Lives. This is the start of a 4-issue miniseries, kind of like a what if Jason Todd had lived and what would be the 4 issues that would follow. This is by J.M. DeMatteis and Rick Leonardi, who are basically telling that story going forward. You got this slick Magnola cover, which is pretty cool. And if you just kind of want to see a little bit of a mirror universe, you got access to the mirror right here. Public Domain is great. ETA on when the second volume's going to come out in print. Well, the first issue of it started coming out last week. I can tell you that. As per an actual date, I'm pretty sure it's already on our website. Public Domain Chip. February 18th is when the second collection will come out. That's the fun part about, well, and then maybe a couple weeks before that, because Image seems to be releasing their books a little later in the book market, but sometimes it's a little unclear. I'm looking for some clarity on that, but it started coming out. This kind of bridges the gap. This is not quite a facsimile. This is a take on an old story. And then we have our facsimiles. We have the first issue of Godzilla from Marvel Comics. If you want to see some Marvel characters, mix it up with Godzilla and all the old ads. We have Deadpool #1, both in regular and fancy shiny. This is the Joe Kelly, first issue of the Joe Kelly Ed McGuinness run that is really credited for the popularity of Deadpool, despite what Rob Liefeld might want to say. He did not make that character popular. He just made that character. And you have the Tales of the Titans #44, Judas Contract. Blank cover for that one, but the regular underneath, as this happens. And it reprints that classic story from the Wolfman and Perez run of Teen Titans. All right, we have collections to talk about, including Space Mullet. I'm very excited about this. This is some early Daniel Warren Johnson that has finally been recollected, I would say, in a volume now available for everybody, now that everybody loves Daniel Warren Johnson. Ex-Space Marine Jonah and his co-pilot Alpheus rove the galaxy just trying to get by. Drawn into one crazy adventure after another, they forge a crew of misfits into a family that must face the darkest parts of the universe together. Space Mullet is a richly detailed, accessible sci-fi world with heartfelt characters and unforgettable story. It's Daniel Warren Johnson. You kind of know that you're going to get something a little unique with him, even with his earlier stuff. It is some remarkable work. Again, very kinetic, very artistic, and has that signature explodey action, but with a lot of heart. We have Cobra Commander Volume 1 in 2 versions. You have a direct-to-market version and a regular version. Now, can I remember which one is which? No, this one's the direct market. This one's the regular one. This is a very dark take on Cobra in general. I really loved it. It kind of built out a lot of really cool parts of this new Energon universe that G.I. Joe shares with the Transformers and Void Rivals. And boy, does the end of the first issue pack a punch in terms of that kind of crossover stuff. I don't want to spoil it for folks who haven't experienced it, because it was like, oh, that's probably a bad idea in the long run, Cobra Commander. I mean, you think it's chill now, but yikes on bikes. Sean, I am relatively certain that there's a Space Mullet aside for you already. Da. Can I check that from here? I can. Yes, there is one on hold for you already. So we are good on that count. Cool. Blammo. We also have the first volume of The Flash from Cy Spurrier and Mike Diodato Jr. You have your regular market cover and you have your direct market cover. I really like the direct market cover. Now, the regular market cover does have the Mike Diodato art. This is the art style that you will see on the interiors. Following Diodato on the book is actually, I believe, Roman Perez, who definitely has a different style, more akin to this here. And this is a very kind of crunchy, dark sci-fi take on the Flash, kind of like the creeping cosmic horror things digging in. And it's a really, really interesting take. I wasn't sure that it was going to hit, but I always give Cy Spurrier the benefit of the doubt. And man, with good reason, because this was great. So Wally West has never been quicker, more fulfilled, and more heroic, and yet something is off. Very off. His evolving understanding of his powers has opened Wally to new avenues of sci-fi adventure and attuned his senses to strange new ideas. But when something whispers from the dark vibrations beyond the Speed Force, Wally must experiment with new creative approaches to his powers when he encounters new realms, mysterious allies, and mind-shattering terrors. Yeah. All right. Finally on our stands, Hunger and the Dusk, Volume 1. There's a few things that sort of slipped through the cracks during our exile. And honestly, a chunk of image books that we have had on order forever that are coming out to us next week. I don't know what's up with that, but I have been asking Simon & Schuster why. I want the books. We'll see. But in the meantime, Hunger and the Dusk. This was the G. Willow Wilson and Chris Wildgoose series, the first volume of which came out last year, the second volume of which starts this week. Babies! This was sold as folks needing to get ready for the hot arc summer, baby. And yeah, that's a little bit of what's happening here. Love on the brink of extinction. In a decaying fantasy world, only humans and orcs remain, mortal enemies battling for territory and political advantage. But when a group of fearsome ancient humanoids known as the Vangal arrive from across the sea, the two struggling civilizations are forced a fragile alliance to protect what they have built. As a gesture of commitment to the cause and to the relief of his bride-to-be, Farron Stonebeck, the most powerful orc overlord, Throth Icemane, sends his beloved cousin Tara, I'm mixing this up a little bit. I don't know. A high-ranking healer to fight alongside brash human commander Callum Battlechild and his company of warriors. With the crisis looming, the success of this unlikely pair's partnership and the survival of the peoples will depend on their ability to unlearn a lifetime of antagonistic instincts and toward one another, and rise above the sting of heartbreak. Now, at its core, it is your big fantasy, different folks kind of against each other, coming together for a common good. This is G. Willow Wilson. And so baked into that is sort of like the way our society is right now, where these ideas that we have against each other in a lot of ways are really poisoning us against the real kind of enemies that are out there, which I would say are the rich and the folks with all the power. This is about folks who don't have much coming together to fight something that seems looming and unstoppable, and finding that commonality that we are just trying to live and build and survive and to treat each other with respect, and to build towards something awesome. Now, I know that does preclude folks who you don't want to meet halfway with somebody who wants you to die. So this is about sort of the goodwill of people, and not folks who want certain other people to not be alive. Those people can kick rocks, and I don't think they can read anyways. This was a book that my mother-in-law recommended we look into and check out, and I'm very glad that she did. I got to read about half of this before the show today, and it has so much heart and so much hurt, and it's just so well lived in. It's all emotion. A story about a newly realized lesbian woman hell-bent on reaching spiritual enlightenment, even if it kills her. Cheryl came out and she's doing just fine. Thanks for asking. She broke up with her dog, Quick Gluten, cut contact with her father, and is really just trying to focus on getting enough water daily. And it's all going great. Except it isn't, and because no matter what Cheryl does, she really can't shake the feeling that there's something wrong deep down in her core of her being. What would really fix things would be to address her lingering internalized homophobia and childhood trauma, or reach total spiritual enlightenment. Reaching enlightenment sounds easier, so let's go with that one. From the creator of Like Jehovah, Cheryl is a vision board of a coming out gone sideways. We have Sunhead. The art in this is absolutely gorgeous. It really struck me as I was looking through it. Just sort of like nice palette, well lived in, and really strikes at the heart of a lot of fandom these days, which is really cool. There's no denying it. Rodham is a Sunhead. There's just something about that book that speaks to her. She's obsessed with the main character, Edmund, and no one else gets it. But all that changes when she befriends Ayala, a shy classmate and avid book lover who seems to be swept away by the romance as she is. The two become fast friends, but as their deep connection grows stronger, Rodham starts to wonder what exactly draws her to the story. This is Alex Assan's debut graphic novel. Sunhead is an earnest coming-of-age graphic novel that explores how the stories we love help us understand our friendships, our relationships, and ourselves. We also have Canary. This is a kind of Western with sci-fi kind of tastes to it, from Scott Snyder and Dan Panosian. This originally was up on Comixology, so if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can look up Canary, and your Amazon Prime account will get you free access to issues 1, 2, and 3. If you like what you see and feel, then definitely come on back for this. I was really taken by it. In 1884, a mine collapsed into itself. What was the dark substance found 666 feet underground? Blending modern horror, historical fact, and Western lore, Scott Snyder and Dan Panosian have created Canary. During the final days of the gold rush, one mining company in Utah Hills pulled up radioactive uranium, and then the mine collapsed in on itself. Legends sprung up about the mine being cursed or haunted. Now the frontier is closed, and the gold and silver mines have dried up. The country is becoming civilized, and yet in one stretch of the Rocky Mountains, a terrifying new kind of violence is suddenly emerging. Random killings. People going mad and murdering neighbors and classmates without real cause. And when a schoolboy kills his teacher, a famous federal marshal named Azriel William Holt is called in to investigate. What he uncovers, with the help of a brilliant young geologist, is stranger and more horrifying than anything they could have ever imagined. And finally, this might be a book that I brought in just for me. It's The Nancy Show, celebrating the art of Ernie Bushmiller, which is a catalog accompanying the exhibition at the Billy Ireland Cartoon Library and Museum. This is a show that was on fairly recently, or is still on, that showcases the wonderful art of Ernie Bushmiller and his Nancy strips. It dives through a lot of different stuff. It shows a lot of sort of the original prints of a lot of the artwork. And has a lot of some context around there, the different types of Nancy. And in the back even has some bonus stuff, basically. Bonus swag, babies. As well as folks who've done different interpretations of Nancy and Bushmiller's style, a little take on Bill Griffith's Three Rocks story, the story of Ernie Bushmiller, the man who created Nancy, and all kinds of different stuff. So this is real exciting if you like process stuff, and I do. If you love Nancy, and I do. So yeah. All right, no more melting. No more melting. But a quick look through our magic mirror before the melting continues. I'm looking at him, seeing Bryce. Hello, Bryce. I'm seeing Sean. Hi, Sean. I'm seeing the one and only Foley. Hello, Foley. I'm seeing Carl. Hey, Carl. I'm seeing Lyndon. What's up, Lyndon? And yeah, I believe that's it. And that was quick because I am going to get to the cooling station and I'm going to let out the cats because I locked them away. Didn't need to sweat and move cats at the same time. So thank you all for checking in. Some cool stuff still to come, including a lot of different things that I've been putting together slowly in the background that should be starting to come out at latest August. I don't want to start doing this next big project without sort of a game plan and a little bit of a road ahead. So yeah, and it's going to be cool, and it's going to feature a bit in this weekly show. So all right, thank you all for joining us. We will talk to you again soon. No more melting. I hope you are all, wherever you are, trying not to melt as well, as best as you can. And we will get through all of this together. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.